If you missed Nvidia, this stock is next. There's a lot of attention on silver right now and gold. Gold is holding up better than silver. Could silver still squeeze out and go up to 105, 110, 130? It's actually up a little bit already from where it closed yesterday. It could, but I think the more interesting plays are not related to catching this metal, whether you're on the long side or otherwise. I think there is some attention on earnings season right now. Everyone's looking forward to Tesla earnings. The way to look at earnings season, in my view, is not actually saying, oh, this company reports this week, this company reports this week. It's time to go into overdrive thinking about what's going to happen. In certain cases, you might do that. You might say, if this happens, I'm going to do this. If this happens, I'm going to do this. More often than not, we're talking about opportunities to get in, to buy these stocks, as opposed to sell them. And I think most people want the most efficient process possible, which if Tesla has great earnings, wait for that earnings to come out, wait for trading to occur for a full day, a full 24 hours even, and then look for an entry. And really what that entry is the close. If the stock has some volume in the next day above that close, you can take get invested at that point, with a really, optimistic view, but also trust but verify strategy, where if the stock does start to move down below that closing print or whatever it closed at, stock value, then you sell out and it's no big deal. And maybe you go look for another entry in a few days, in a week. Maybe it'll have to move down a bit, but just buying Tesla before earnings, first of all, I think is irresponsible. Even buying it directly at the time the earnings are released, I believe, is irresponsible. The earnings reaction is what really gives an indication of how the stock is likely to move. And I think it does take a full 24 hours for that reaction to be actionable. So that's the plan. As far as sectors, I think there's a lot of stocks that look interesting for entries, but with earnings coming up in a week for some of these, a few days, you just have to do hands off. I mean, one example is this AI data center networking stock, GLW, Corning is this company. Massive move up just in the last 24 hours and has earnings within the next 48. And I do think you just have to be hands off from stuff like that. You're just really betting before you know how the reaction is going to be, because the reaction can be sell the news. Same thing for stocks like Seagate is going to have earnings very soon. The memory steams have gone up significantly. There's been a big push and a demand, just euphoria for memory. It's really necessary to build out these large-scale, large language models and do more of the artificial intelligence that these big enterprises are seeing some, adoption of. You don't have to bet on the bubble. You can just bet on a couple weeks to a couple month moves on some of these memory names. Should they hold up? Should the earnings reactions could be good? And should they offer a good, favorable risk reward opportunity in the next couple weeks to a few weeks, depending on how exactly that price agreement settles. So that's basically the plan with earnings and some of the major sectors, memory names being very important, networking as well. And this is outside of the main name, Tesla, everyone is very focused on this week, but it's just one name. And unless, someone's watching this who is, independently deploying $100 million, you don't need to look for liquid names like Tesla. There are names that are less liquid. Corning is GLW, Seagate STX. These are extremely liquid. I mean, SanDisk liquidity was absolutely monstrous over the past month. So the aperture is wide enough where you're catching names with good trends, but narrow enough, I think, that you're not focused on, the IBRX robotics moves that have recently run. IBRX is actually a biotech. Someone can check that for me, but I don't even want to know because I know it's such a low price stock, and the move is so insane that, in the same way there was euphoria for Unicure, QURE, and then we saw that stock get cut in half. That was a biotech in 2025. You don't really need percent moves on your scans. Really what you need is percent moves relative to how much a stock normally moves, because you can risk very little, and that they're low risk, medium reward versus high risk, high reward. Low risk, medium reward is actually much more consistently interesting and expected value positive. You're more likely to win large amounts of money over the long term with a setup like that versus high risk, high reward. So another stock that's setting up okay is MCHP. That's a microchip. It's just basing sideways, but I would keep that on your radar as well. I think the space names need to be treated with some caution here. Just very large names, caught some of the attention of the public. I mean, SpaceX, everyone knows it's not a private company that's investable for most people. Maybe you can do some sort of SPV thing, where someone gets a little promote or a kickback or commission, whatever the language they use to sort of obfuscate what's going on there. But even with DXYZ, it's the holding company that includes SpaceX, the value that you're paying is oftentimes more than the value of SpaceX itself. So you have to be careful with that. And these other names that are sort of secondary names like SATS or ASDS or even Rocket Lab, which is probably the strongest name, need to cool off a bit, in my opinion. So I don't think there's a real opportunity there for entries. In terms of other names that have been sort of on people's radar in the past few months to a year, Nebius and Nvidia, so that's NBIS and NVTS respectively, two Nvidia invested names. Nvidia took stakes in them. Sometimes Nvidia's stakes can change as well, but to my understanding, Nvidia still owns pieces of those companies, and NVTS could be more investable right now, but neither of them look, incredibly momentous. There doesn't look like there's volume about to come in. There doesn't look like there's going to be a market-changing piece of information that comes out that indicates the price is going to go up in the near term. So for that reason, those sort of exciting, it's exciting to see, Nvidia adjacent names, but they don't seem to have, be the apple of the eye of the public right now. And the public is really moving these stocks. Space names being Exhibit A. I mean, did it make sense for ASDS, a space satellite name, to go up whatever it did, 40% or more in a month, just because we heard the rumor that SpaceX could have an IPO? Maybe it didn't, So you want to ride those names, of course. I mean, I personally saw it and thought that was interesting as an entry opportunity. But you also want to be aware when those are not in favor. I mean, quantum names are not in favor at all right now, as an example, even though they made a move of 80, 90% last year. So it's QBTS, RGTI, IONQ, and to a lesser extent, QUBT. Those names are not on radar. The data center turned Bitcoin miner names, Cipher, Hut, Iron, and to a lesser extent, Amara and Riot. Those are not particularly investable either, in my opinion, right now. The rare earths did have a move up. USAR did have a rare earth move up, sort of euphoric small cap sector that got some ignition recently, given the government stake in MP Materials that was announced. HYMC has gone on an absolutely monstrous run in mining stock. CDE had a little move as well, but you can see USAR already sold off after it gapped up. So, there will be opportunities. CRML as well, selling off. The small cap index as a whole, IWM, selling off in the last couple of days. So there will be opportunities, but I don't think it's just now. So you kind of just have to be a little bit chill right now. It's a strange type of persona to have to take at a time when we're about to have earnings season, but I think this is sort of the calm before the storm, and I think you should invest appropriately and wait for some of these earnings reactions to occur after the numbers come out. So that's my 2 cents MO right now. If you like this live, hit that like button. If you haven't hit that subscribe yet, hit that subscribe. Check out our most recent video, my most recent video on Trump flooding the market, and the reset that this economy is going to have, given the silver and gold euphoria that seems to be dimming, where that money's going to rotate somewhere else. Is it going to be Bitcoin? Is it going to be emerging markets? That is the topic of yesterday's video. If you haven't checked out the Discord, go ahead to take a peek at stockscommunity.com at what's offered there in that $25 7-day trial. You will see the best stock of the day in there. I'm heading over there right now, actually, to drop that in there for Discord members. And if you haven't seen our newsletter, if you head over to free.stockscommunity.com, you will see that newsletter opt-in. It does get you access as soon as we get about, 100 people in there. I will begin to send out, the daily video as well as the transcript of the video in the newsletter. So that's the plan. But I'll see you in the Discord. Be up well, be safe, let these earnings reactions occur. And